to go? Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Okay, good morning and welcome. I'm Claire Say, a member of the board at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston, UUCR. We are so glad that you're joining us on Zoom, as well as here in the church in the sanctuary, to build our engaged community. We welcome all ages to engage with UUCR, where you are on your spiritual journey, how you identify, and whom you love. Know that you are important, be yourself, and we're happy that you're all together. This Memorial Day weekend is important to me as a family member of a veteran, plus many of my friends are active as well as veterans. Please let us know. Can you see hands of people that are active military, veterans, families, spouses, children, and friends of any? And also if you're in the, thank you for your service. I'm a proud American. And also if you're on Zoom, please put in the chat if you're a veteran, you're a spouse of veteran, family member, and also friends. I'm a proud American of Chinese heritage, and we all thank you for your service because it takes a community in the military. I have several announcements. The 5th annual Reston Pride Festival is this coming Saturday, June 4th, from 12 o'clock to 6 p.m. at Lake Ann Plaza. Please mark your calendar and plan to attend this fabulous event. This year's Reston Pride Festival will feature a concert and performances from local musicians and artists supporting and celebrating the LGBTQIA+ community in the greater Reston area. The inaugural Reston Pride Festival was created and held at our UUCR church in June 2018. Yay! And we are thrilled to be a sponsor of Reston Pride, and we'll have a booth at the festival. Volunteers are needed. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Volunteers are needed and to help staff the booth. Please look for volunteer information in the e-blast. Number 2 announcement. Please join us this afternoon for the Art of Healing art show opening, hosted by the Adult Enrichment Committee. You are invited to stop by the sanctuary anytime from 2 to 4 p.m. today to enjoy a unique collection of art created by artists of all ages as a coping tool during COVID-19. There will be an activity for children to enjoy during this event. Number 3, our UUCR picnic is Sunday, June 12th after the service. Food will be provided. People should go to the weekly e-blast or the website calendar to RSVP. And now we have a special announcement from Linda Holloway about the 50th anniversary celebration. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you. Yes, UUCR at 50 plus, past, present, and future. Literally years ago, a committee came together to prepare for UUCR's 50th birthday. Our beginning was 1970. The 50th was to be celebrated in 2020. If you entered through the East foyer, you saw our poster, so full of hope, and we wanted a huge celebration. Well, history had other plans for us. The pandemic happened. Our huge gala did not, and just 2 cherished projects remained in the hearts and minds of the very reduced 50th committee, now only Beverly Baburin and I. When we received support from Reverend Scott and the latest board, we finally moved ahead. We've engaged a yearbook company which will retain our title and help us create and print an 80-page yearbook of our past and the present and future we all share. The books will be available online, and hardback volumes may be ordered for $25 with delivery on our in-gathering this September. Contributions of histories, photos, artwork, and hopes are already being collected. I personally will order 6 copies for myself, my sons, and others who grew up in this church. The second project is our time capsule displayed in the East Foyer. It's big enough to hold whatever we want the next generation to open for viewing in 2045 as they celebrate UUCR's 75th birthday. I don't think I'll be here. That box can hold our history, descriptions of our present, and our plans and hopes for the future, our own and our churches. Linda Weaver has promised some artwork from the kids this summer. Please consider how you might contribute to either of these projects and contact Beverly or me. An addition to this announcement also honors our past in the persons of 2 members of this church, 2 dear friends whose service has been so special for many decades. Both Elaine Schwartz and Debbie McCormick have moved to assisted living facilities near their family members, and I know they would appreciate hearing from us. Please write notes. I provided the paper and pens, and I shall mail them. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Linda. I will introduce the service participants. Our service today is being led by Kayla Williams. Kayla is an Army veteran and author. She and her family are proud members of the UUCR congregation. We are very pleased to have Kayla here today leading this Memorial Day worship service, where she is titled Meditations on Memorial Day as a Unitarian Universalist. We are also joined this morning by music director, our wonderful Cynthia Young. Linda Weaver prepared her Time for All Ages video, so you will enjoy experiencing her messages. Sterling Pilette is serving as the worship associate today. Meagan Pitluck-Schmitt is serving as our hymn accompanist. Thank you all. Also with us this morning is a special guest, artist Knox Engler. Knott is a DC-based multi-instrumentalist and producer, recently graduated from the American University Audio Technology MA program. Congratulations. And Knox collaborates with artists in both performance and recording. His musical interests combine elements of jazz, classical, and rock. Welcome, Knox. We are so happy that you're here. Thank you all for participating in today's worship service, and also thanks, as always, to our rotating production team consisting of Amelia Turner, Mike Schmidt, David Niemi, and Maggie Mack. Okay, announcements are done. So let's go ahead and center ourselves for our worship. Please take some deep centering breaths. Breathe in and out. And breathe in and out. And again, one more. Breathe in and out. Okay, we're all here and present. So let us enter our time of worship together as we listen to How High the Moon by Morgan Lewis and performed by Knox Engler.
Thank you, that was beautiful. Today's opening words are In Flanders Fields by John McCrae. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard among the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up the quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. I will also be lighting a special candle today in memory of those who died in the tragic events in Uvalde, Texas this week. May we hold them in our hearts and take actions to reduce gun violence.
Good morning. Our opening hymn today is number 96. I cannot think of them as dead. If you are with us on Zoom at home, the words will appear in your chat box. And those of you here in the sanctuary, you are invited to rise as you are willing or able, and please join us in singing.
Good morning. I'm Sterling Pilette. Welcome to our church. The chalice lighting reading this morning is by Nicole McKay, who is a Unitarian Universalist military chaplain candidate in Canada. The reading is entitled, We Gather to Remember. We gather to remember those who could not grow old and those forced to grow old long before their time. We gather to mourn and grieve with one another all of our losses, the people, the stories, the loved ones, the futures that could have been. We gather to do the hard work of facing the difficult realities of our present and our past, where there is conflict, violence, war, and hatred. We gather to hold space for silence as we try to make meaning of our history, to help us work for peace and justice today. We gather to rekindle our source of hope for our future by recognizing in one another our shared humanity as we join in a concerted commitment for a better tomorrow. We gather because we need community to do all of this holy work.
Church, it is our custom to sing our covenant together every Sunday. Love is the spirit of this church. If you are at home on Zoom, we hope you will sing along with us. And here in the sanctuary, please rise again in body or spirit and join in singing our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another in fellowship.
It's time for the Time for All Ages from Linda Weaver.
Good morning on this Memorial Day weekend. Many of you have tomorrow off, but it's not just an extra day to relax and enjoy. Tomorrow is Memorial Day, a day set aside to remember people who died while serving in the U.S. military. This holiday is celebrated by visiting cemeteries or memorials, getting together with family or friends, and holding parades. At many cemeteries, flags are placed on the graves of service members, and on Memorial Day, some people wear a red poppy because of the poem in Flanders Field, which you heard earlier. This Memorial Day, we are also remembering children and adults killed this week, and many people across this country who have been touched by violence in places that should be safe, such as homes, schools, and neighborhoods. Earlier this week, I recorded Eve Bunting's book, The Wall, a story about a father and son visiting the Vietnam Memorial. However, instead of showing that today, I would like to just talk with you. To the children with us, know that even though shootings happen too often, and once is too often, this is still extremely rare and very uncommon. Also, know that there are people all around you who are working hard to make sure you are safe. Your family, your teachers, and many of the adults right here are doing all we can to keep you safe. If you're still feeling worried or have questions, please let a trusted adult know. You can talk with someone in your family, or a teacher, a school counselor, me, or Reverend Scott. We're here to listen to you if you're having big feelings, dealing with a difficult experience, or have big questions. To the adults, I've read this quote from Mr. Rogers here at least once before, probably more. When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, "Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping." End of quotes. Now, here today, I ask you to remember that you are the helpers. Please take care of yourself so that you can take care of the children in your lives and each other. And find ways that you can help. Whether you're in a helping profession, donating money to support mental health, writing letters asking politicians to support laws for sensible gun control, or taking other actions, you are the helpers. And what you do does make a difference. We will now sing children to their activities in childcare with Go With Joy. The words will be projected on the wall here and copied in chat on Zoom.
When we share our joys and concerns so that no one ever has to hold them alone. If you are joining us remotely this morning, you may wish to light a real or virtual candle wherever you are this morning to mark what is on your heart, as members of the in-person congregation here at UUCR place stones in the water here in the sanctuary. If those of you at home would like to share what is in your heart today in the congregational chat on the screen, please write to all attendees, and please remember that what you share will be public. Those at home may then read other joys and concerns shared in the chat, and then enter into your own time of reflection and prayer as we all listen to our guest artist, Knox Engler, play our meditation music.
Let us join together in a spirit of reflection and prayer. We are grateful for this moment to be in community with each other and to reconnect with that place of peace within ourselves. We hold in our hearts our community's concerns, all of those who are struggling or facing trial, and those who need our care. We remember this Memorial Day all who have died while serving in the U.S. military. We honor their sacrifice and that of their families. Most especially today, we remember and mourn the victims of the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. And we hold that community close in our hearts. As we carry these sorrows, we can also take time to give thanks for our joys, for graduations, birthdays, special anniversaries, time with family, this beautiful spring day, and the promise of summer soon to come. We hold with care and love all the joys and concerns shared here and all of those that remain in our hearts. Amen and blessed be. For our special music today, we're going to sing in community together. Hymn number 1002 in your teal hymnal, Comfort Me. The words are also printed on the back of your order of service. If you are with us on Zoom, the words will be in the chat box, and we hope you will sing along with me and Meagan. Thank you, Meagan, for helping us lead this community sing. If you are using the teal hymnal, we are intentionally changing one word in verse 3. So the words of that verse will be "speak to me." I think we can remain seated for this. Thank you.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me, oh my soul. Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh
As a self-funded church, UCR relies on the 52-plus years of generosity of its members and friends to fund daily operations and to ensure that our church and its resources are here for us and others now and in the future. Pledges support our worship and music programs, our religious education program, programs for members and friends, community outreach, and connections to Unitarian Universalists. We are all experiencing higher prices, so we appreciate any donations you can make. We now invite you to support the work of UU Reston by making your donations to the collection plate if you're here in the sanctuary or at the link on the slide in the chat box. We really appreciate and thank you for your generosity and your willingness and ready to support our beloved spiritual home.
Thank you for that beautiful music, Knox. Good morning. I'm Kayla Williams, as mentioned, a member of your congregation and an Army veteran. I'm really privileged to be with you on this Sunday before Memorial Day, when, according to the speech I will be giving at a VA cemetery tomorrow, we will honor those heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice defending our country and our way of life. Our nation has set aside Memorial Day to remember, honor, and salute our fallen service members. Informally, initially as Decoration Day in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War, and as an official federal holiday since 1971. In the UK, both veterans and the fallen are recognized on November 11th, Remembrance Day, but here we have bifurcated the two into separate holidays, one for mourning the dead and one for celebrating those who have survived. Can you put up the poppy slide, please? Which perhaps does not hold adequate emotional space for those of us who may have very complicated feelings about our own wartime service and those we have lost. So I want to explore our relationship with Memorial Day in two ways today. First, in pondering who we should add to the roster of having died in war? And second, how do we grapple with honoring those who died in war as Unitarian Universalists? In keeping with our fourth principle, I'm not here to tell you what to believe, but rather to engage in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning alongside you. First, those who have died due to enemy action, KIA, are squarely within our conception of having died in war. But who else should? Did you know that the first 2 US deaths in World War I were Army nurses killed by shrapnel when a naval gun exploded during target practice while they were traveling by Navy ship to Europe? Edith Ayers and Helen Burnett Wood were Red Cross nurses who were inducted into the US Army, but served without rank or commission, since women's status as soldiers was not yet settled. They are not who springs to mind when most of us imagine American troop deaths in that war, yet they made the ultimate sacrifice in service to this nation on their way to try to save lives. Their home communities have been inconsistent in whether or not they recorded these women among public lists of World War I dead, but I will hold them in my heart on Memorial Day. What about those who die overseas, but not from enemy action? Alyssa Peterson and I served in the 101st Airborne Division together. I did signals intelligence and Alyssa did human intelligence. She had a troubled relationship with her family and her squad leader, and Alyssa was appalled by the way our unit treated detainees in Iraq. She died by suicide in Mosul. We held a memorial service for her there. Is she a casualty of war? I believe she is, and I will hold her in my heart on Memorial Day. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall, better known simply as the Wall, was an originally controversial design that has since become iconic. Over 58,000 names are inscribed upon it, Americans who died in the combat zone, on a combat or combat support mission to or from the combat zone, or within 120 days of wounds, physical injuries, or illnesses incurred or diagnosed in the combat zone. Within 120 days, what of those who died years later from what they were exposed to in Vietnam? We now know that Agent Orange is associated with a range of health conditions, and including an array of cancers as well as Parkinson's and other diseases. The California Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall began to include those who died of diseases associated with Agent Orange exposure in 2018, but their names will not be inscribed on the wall here in DC. But I will hold them in my heart on Memorial Day. My friend Kate Hendricks Thomas died of breast cancer recently. Her doctors told her it was from toxic exposure during her service as a Marine to burn pits on deployment and to contaminated water at Camp Lejeune. I will mourn her as among our war dead on Memorial Day, whether or not her name is ever inscribed on the list of those killed by the global war on terror. Beyond the physical, how do we consider the fate of those exposed to such severe psychological or spiritual trauma in war that they die years later from substance use disorders, excessive risk-taking, or suicide? Even if they were not killed in action, were they killed by action? Should we inscribe their names on war memorials? Their families' grief, I promise you, is just as deep. Their wounds, though invisible, just as grievous. Douglas MacArthur said, "The soldier above all others prays for peace, for it is the soldier who must bear and suffer the deepest wounds and scars of war." And that quote resonated deeply with me when I came home from Iraq in 2005 to a country busy shopping and seemingly oblivious to the war in which our young men and women were dying. But is it as true to those living in countries where war is taking place? Calculating total casualties in war is deeply imprecise, if not impossible, but in World War II, military deaths numbered between 21 and 25 million people. Civilian deaths from military action and crimes against humanity numbered around 30 million. And the increase in civilian deaths from war-related famine and disease was another 20 to 28 million. These numbers are so large as to be incomprehensible to the human mind. Anchor yourself on the simple truth that far more civilians died due to these wars than uniformed personnel. The disparity has grown truly shocking in more recent conflicts as our military technology has improved, increasing survivability for our troops and lethality of our weapons, while enemies have been insurgents rather than militaries. In Iraq, the United States lost 4,491 troops, while the Iraq Body Count Project estimates the number of civilian deaths from violence alone at around 200,000. These civilians did not volunteer. They did not sign up, as I did, as many of you did, as the millions whose names we inscribe on memorials to our own war dead did, and yet they died just the same, and their families mourned just as deeply. How should we remember them? Can we, should we, make space in our hearts for them on Memorial Day? This question seems particularly salient right now as the war in Ukraine rages on and we see the photographic evidence every day of the civilian toll of war. Russian forces are accused of committing war crimes by committing deliberate attacks on civilian targets and indiscriminate attacks in densely populated areas. They have damaged and destroyed houses, hospitals, schools, kindergartens, nuclear power plants, historic buildings, and churches. Russian troops have committed rape, torture, and summary killings of men, women, and children. In just one well-known and well-documented example, on March 9th, Russian forces bombed a clearly identifiable and operational maternity and children's hospital in Mariupol. Here, in this church, we pause to recognize and honor those suffering and dying that conflict almost every Sunday. Can we, should we, hold space for civilian casualties of war on Memorial Day as a nation? The second aspect of this that I wrestle with is how do we square that shocking and appalling loss of life with our faith? Are we honoring the inherent dignity and worth of every person when we send our young men and women off to die? Can we reconcile the principles of justice, equity, and compassion in human relations with a combat deployment? Can I raise my children as UUs focused on the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice, and still encourage them to consider military service? Just war theory attempts to provide a framework for considering these questions, particularly whether a nation should go to war, by attempting to reconcile three things. First, taking a human life is seriously wrong. Second, states have a duty to defend their citizens and defend justice. And third, that protecting innocent human life and defending important moral values sometimes requires willingness to use force and violence. This theory specifies conditions for judging if it is permissible to go to war and sets conditions on how the war should be fought. It is perhaps easiest to understand in the context of World War II. The Nazis killed 6 million Jews, and sending US troops to war was justified to stop that genocide. And when we send our troops off to war, they are held to certain ethical standards. If our soldiers are caught doing what Russian troops are doing, they go to prison. Now, while something as seemingly esoteric as just war theory may not have made it onto the protest signs in the 1970s, many Americans poured into the streets in recognition that it was not a just war. And ultimately, they were successful in convincing politicians to end the war, but they turned their ire on veterans as well, in many cases deepening their trauma. And perhaps our national shame over how we treated these individual veterans has contributed to our national engagement with the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, which overall has been muted. I will admit that I did not support the Iraq War. The reasons we were given seemed disingenuous at best. claiming Saddam possessed chemical weapons and was committing genocide against the Kurds while ignoring North Korea and Darfur seemed deeply hypocritical. And yet I went to war. I did not try to claim status as a conscientious objector. Why? Well, ultimately, though I had not yet found UU, it was my instinctual commitment to our fifth principle and to our grand national experiment with the democratic process. No matter how we may feel about any or all of these conflicts, ultimately, in a democracy like ours, I urge you to consider that we all share moral culpability for all that has been done in our names. And this is ultimately why we must observe Memorial Day. Those being honored died because of decisions made by those we all elected. Even if you voted for the other guys, you were not able to make a compelling enough argument or organize well enough to win. As I have used the act of writing this sermon to wrestle through what I believe, I've reached the end willing to affirm that as we honor our war dead tomorrow, we should greatly expand the list of who we hold in our hearts, who we picture as we pin on poppies, and that we must be called to action by their losses and our commemoration thereof. I urge you all to honor their sacrifice and their families' grief by reaffirming your commitment to our fifth principle, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process. Whether it is through engaging with the peace movement, lobbying for passage of environmental exposure legislation, or fighting for expanded and protected voting rights, on this Memorial Day and every day, go forth and let your real service begin.
Thank you so much, Kayla. Our closing hymn today is hymn number 161, Peace, the Perfect Word. Please rise as you are willing or able in body or spirit and join in with me.
Peace, the perfect word is sounding like a universal hymn under oceans, over mountains, to the world's remotest rim. Toiling centuries have struggled upward on a stony way, just to set the torch of freedom where it flames aloft today. All the old forlorn lost causes, every forbidden dream, and the prophet's hopeless vision, and the poet's fitting gleam. All the hopes of subject peoples, all the dreams of the oppressed must be lost, our hopes, our visions. We can never stay or rest.
The closing words today are from Jennifer Granum. Ceremonies are important, but our gratitude has to be more than visits to the troops and once-a-year Memorial Day ceremonies. We honor the dead best by treating the living well.
Thank you, Kayla, for those really meaningful and heartfelt words, because we need to do this every day. We want to thank all of our service because it would not be possible without Kayla and her words and thoughts that we can execute every day. With Meagan and Cynthia and Knox, thank you for bringing the joy of music to uplift our spirits. Mark, John, and Sterling, thank you for greeting and doing all that you do here for our church. And also Maggie and Mike, thank you for being online. Because we need to celebrate the loved ones with joyful memories. And David. Oh, and David. And David, thank you. And also, I encourage you to take time to connect with individuals who are most important to you with love and compassion, as we have today and tomorrow is not promised. Take care and stay safe this Memorial weekend. We invite our congregation attending service on Zoom to join with our virtual Greet Your Neighbor coffee hour today to discuss the service theme and also enjoy fellowship with each other congregants. The link is in the chat box and will be on a forthcoming slide. Those that are here, we invite you to be on the deck, and we have coffee and tea. And you can socialize and discuss the service theme. We're going to leave the chairs up as they are after worship, so do not stack the chairs. And enjoy this beautiful day, enjoy your family. And we have the closing song. Thank you.
Check, check.
Imagine there's no heaven. Easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you might join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people living for today. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you might join us, and the world, and the world, and the world will be as one.
Thank you very much.